Hello and welcome to this episode. In this episode, I want to do little planets, but in a simple way. Of course, normally these guys are projected to spherical elements and then unwrapped. And this is more complex. What I show you here is a simple way. And let's start with just an image. And this image, for example, should be 360 by 180 degree in viewing angle. That means a complete spherical. I use here a plane, and this plane I set to Z and -1. And the typical format for these 360s by 180 is 1 to 2 or 2 to 1, whatever you like. So we can see here that works, and it's of course tileable, even if we don't want to have tiles from it, just seamless to the left and the right. And of course, the pole caps are also nicely. What we need to do is, of course, to bend this as we have seen in the initial picture. And to do this, I set here just an random value in so I can see how it bends. Then I set this back and use, after I have attached it underneath, the fit to parent object. Then I put in my 360 degree because I want to have a full circle. And then we have this kind of donut. That means we have to move the bend to a different Y position, and this is in this case 127.5. No idea why, but this works best for this size. And then we are already done. Not so fast, please. There's a little bit more to it, and I want to show you some more tips and tricks, of course. First of all, if you want to have a circle-sized image, this should have less segments in this direction and more segments in the other direction. 64 seems good, 32 seems a little bit low, but that is up to you. And it's not really that huge amount of segments here finally for one object in Cinema 4D. It digests this very simply and easily. So when I switch off the band, then I want to show you the next step. As I said, it's normally a spherical projection, and we have to do a little bit to get the distortion in the right way. And right means here we simulate something, and that's also just close to the reality or where we want to be. But who knows little planets in the first place? So we set up here our FFD in this way, and I go to the rectangle selection and set it up so it selects all points that are underneath of the rectangle. Then I set a selection. I name this selection, of course, so I'm not confused later. I click everything to off, then I activate the FFD again, and then I have an inactive selection, so the next one will not override the first one. It will be written in a new selection tag. I name this as well. And then I have already my first step. So let's have a look. I switch this off, visibility, so you can see what I have done. And now when I have my upper selection, then I can see I can distort the image. And with the lower one, I can distort the lower area. With the band deformer on again, I can see now which effect this has. And here I go over the other line, which should be avoided really, because that gives mistakes in the picture. But as long as they are in the same sequence, then they are fine. And you can see already the effect works nicely here. What I want to do now is to employ a camera into the whole system, so I have a little bit more advantages over the whole scene. I set this here to PSR00 to the FFD, so I have a good starting point. Then I go here to reset PSR, so you can see where I got it normally from. And I look now through the camera, go back and set, and then I see I'm in the middle of the FFD and not of my result. So I know the size of the FFD, of course, 400 by 800, so I have to take half of it to get to the point in the left lower corner where my little planet sits. And now I'm in the middle axis of it, and I can adjust the size, and I can look through the camera, and I can rotate this even, bank, to take the right term here. So the next step is then, of course, that I want to have a little bit more elegance in my whole setup here. That means when I switch off the bend deformer, I stay only with the FFD. I switch it here back on to show the effect, and I go to pose morph. In pose morph, I use the point, and with the first pose already set up, I can adjust now here these upper points. These go now here into the pose. It's not so important how much you do it. It's only important that there is a change. Then I change in the next pose settings the lower one. Go to animation, and now I can adjust this. Now I say, oh, I should do that more precisely, but you can go in negative and over 100% values. The movement is freely up to you. And let's have a look how that looks when we go now here into camera view, and you can see I can adjust this here very nicely, and that is exactly the target, that we can move the planet in ratios that we like to have. The next part is, of course, then that we want to change maybe the image, and when we just call up here another image, then we only have to select this, and everything else stays in the same way, except of course that we can change maybe the FFD adjustments to get something else, or rotate the camera. And that could be done even with an image sequence, so we can get a lot of little planets in one rendering session out. Just a little hint. Okay, the next part is then, of course, that we have to save everything with assets if we want to have this in the future available. And one more trick, when we go to plane and switch this to Z+, we get the tunnel effect. That is sometimes very interesting to have. Very simply done. And that's pretty much all. Thanks for listening. Have fun with it. Bye bye.